we're going to talk about the repeated use of the chain rule and a lot of the things that are going on here. So let's go ahead and start with our function f of x. Now, when we're looking at f of x, I want to make sure that we talk about the fact that the inside portion, everything inside here, this is my inside of my function. And that means I'm going to say u is equal to the cubed root of 2x plus 1. So let's go ahead and we'll just go ahead and find the derivative of that first. I rewrite the function as saying this is 2x plus 1 to the 1/3 power. Now we'll find the derivative. So then u prime is equal to 1/3 2x plus 1, 1/3 minus 1, but 1 takes the form of 3/3, is going to be to the negative 2/3 power, which leaves me as u prime will be 1/3 to the 2x plus 1 to the 2/3 power. All I did here is put that negative 2/3 and moved it to the denominator. The 3 was already in the denominator. So to go ahead and turn this back into the derivative of our original function, f of x. F of x is equal to the sine of u. So therefore, the first derivative of f of x is going to equal the cosine of u times u prime. And we already said that u prime is equal to all of this. So plugging all of that back in, I'm left with f of x is equal to the cosine of u. And again, what was u? All of this here is u. So it's going to be the cosine of 2x plus 1 to the 1/3 power times u prime, but u prime is all of this, so it just goes all over 3 times 2x plus 1 to the 2/3 power. Now let's go ahead and look at a function that's very similar, but the big difference here is with the first one, the index was around the argument of the trig function. The next one that we have over here, when we rewrite it, you will see that this is the same thing as saying g of x, where everything on the inside here, the entire function is raised to the 1/3 power. So this time, my u is everything on the inside, which is just the sine of 2x plus 1. But when I find the derivative of that, I need to use the chain again because I have the inside of the inside, which is the 2x plus 1. So first thing I do is take the derivative of the sine, which is the cosine. Everything of u stays the same, but I have to again multiply times u prime, or the derivative of the inside, which in this case is 2. So u prime is 2 cosine of 2x plus 1. So going back to the beginning to find the derivative of g, I take the derivative of the outside, take the 1/3 out front, so that becomes 1/3 everything. U stays the same. This is the sine of 2x plus 1. The 1/3 minus 1 for the chain rule takes the form of minus 3, which makes that to the negative 2/3. But then, again, I multiply times the derivative of the inside. What is the derivative of all of this? Well, the derivative of all of that is my 2 cosine of 2x plus 1. But again, chain and chain again when you're talking about trig functions, because I still also need to take the derivative of what it was inside there and multiply that times that 2. And again, that just matches up with everything that we found for the derivative of u, leaving me with g prime is equal to 2 cosine of 2x plus 1. Oh, there's another 2 in there, so let's make that not a 2. We're going to make that a 4. And all of that is being divided by 3 times the sine of 2x plus 1, all raised to the 2/3 power. And the last one that I want to do with this is if I have h of x of the sine to the 3rd of 2x plus 1. First thing you do with h of x is rewrite that, meaning that is the sine of 2x plus 1. And that's going to follow the same pattern that we had up here, because all of that is being raised now to the 3rd power. So to do this in one step, to find the first derivative, first thing I do is I take the derivative of the outside, which is 3. Everything on the inside stays the same, so that is the sine of 2x plus 1. My new exponent there is 2, and that's because it was 3 minus 1 using the power rule. Now I take the derivative of the inside. The derivative of the inside is the cosine, and I have another inside here, so that's 2x plus 1. And the derivative of that second inside is just 2. So my final answer for h prime of x, I have a 3 and a 2, so that gives me 6. This is the sine of 2x plus 1 squared times the cosine of 2x plus 1. We'll go ahead and do one more. If I have g of x is equal to the cosine squared of x to the 3rd. Remember, first thing you want to do is anytime you have the index on a trig function, go ahead and rewrite that. So this is the same thing as saying I have cosine of x to the 3rd quantity squared. So what we're doing with this is g of x is equal to, first take the derivative of the outside, which leaves you 2 cosine of x to the 3rd to the 1st power. Now I want to multiply that times the derivative of everything that is in the inside here. Now the derivative of the cosine of x to the 3rd, remember this x to the 3rd also is going to have to be a double chain rule. So the derivative of the cosine is minus the sine. X to the third stays the same, but I have to multiply that times the derivative of whatever the inside piece is, so that gets multiplied by 3x squared. So now g prime of x, 2 and the 3 get combined, and it's going to give me a negative 6x squared. I got the negative from in front of the sign, and I also combined the x squared in that. Now that is times my two trig functions, which is the cosine of x to the third and the sine of x to the third.